What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. It's Friday, last day of the week. I'm sure it's an exciting day for a lot of you guys if you have the rest of your weekend planned out. There was a lot of stuff that happened yesterday. A lot of it had to do with Diablo III, the Eternal Edition for the Switch. There's a lot of information everywhere. We're going to go over some of it, and they were even asked about what else do you have for the Switch outside of Diablo 3. We're going to talk about that actually in some of the quick news, and then we're going to dive into Diablo 3, and then we're going to take a look at a studio that is now porting games to the Switch that, if you're a JRPG fan, you're going to get really excited about this. First, though, like I said, let's start with some of the quick news. We're going to start with The Messenger. Remember this game? We saw it in Indies Direct and everything. It looked really cool. I followed up on it, and it just looks like an awesome indie game, and we're not going to have to wait very long. It's actually coming out August 30th, and it's going to be $19.99. Devolver Digital actually put this out in a tweet. And yes, this is the game that I told you guys about, that it has heavy inspiration from Ninja Gaiden, and it has this part where you actually time travel back and forth, and the visual style of pretty much the entire world and your character and enemies and everything, even animations, will change from 8-bit to 16-bit. This is going to be really, really fun. I've already reached out to Devolver to see if I can get a review copy so we can check it out early and everything. That's the hope. Also, Activision told us their plans going into Gamescom, which is coming up next week. And Gamescom is going to be interesting, guys. I'm going to tell you, keep an eye on Gamescom. I know we're getting an Inside Xbox directly from there, which we're going to watch because I think there's going to be some cool announcements with that. But Activision is bringing Shadows Die Twice, and it's going to be playable. I was actually pretty surprised because this game's not supposed to be out till 2019, so next year it's coming out, but it's going to be playable there. They're also going to be bringing Call of Duty Black Ops 4 with a new map for people to play, and then they're also going to have the Spyro Reignited trilogy there, also for people to play for, I think, the first time. I think it's the first time it's going to be playable, right? So we're going to have press impressions on that, and then we're also have the press playing Shadows Die Twice, which is the one I'm really curious about. I want to see how fluid, how the controls are, but at least we won't have to wait long. Gamescom, guys, I'm telling you, is really shaping up to be, I think, even better than last year, but I think it's going to be really interesting. We're going to see a lot of impressions coming out of Germany next week. And our last bit of quick news is actually going to lead right into Diablo 3, and that is Blizzard and the Switch, and if they have any plans outside of Diablo 3, the game that was announced yesterday in full with all kinds of press access and everything, and it's sounding very interesting. There's a lot of stuff to this game outside of what the game itself. We heard about who's helping them port and everything, resolution, frame rate, the whole thing. But they were asked by GameSpot if you have any plans about, say, Overwatch, and this is what they said. Anything is within the realm of possibility. Our team was given the task to work on this. If Overwatch developer Team 4 picks up that endeavor, that's on them. As of right now, Diablo is our only focus on Switch. Yes, though, it is feasible. So it's feasible, and they don't want to say outright no. Now, they do go on to say, StarCraft. They're asked about StarCraft 2. For some reason, I think of StarCraft 2. I don't think a console. I wouldn't even have asked that. I look at StarCraft 2 and I say, okay, you need a mouse, you need a keyboard, and you're going to go, right? That's basically what you're going to do there. StarCraft 2, I don't think would work well on any console unless you have access to a keyboard and mouse, in which case, why are you playing it on console? But this is the kind of language you use when you don't want to directly answer a question, and Overwatch on the Switch, I mean, it makes sense. It's money they would make, and I have a feeling they are looking at it, and they have been looking at it for a while now, and he doesn't want to outright say no because it's not time to make the announcement, either because they're not ready to say yes or no it's going to it, or they're being held off for an announcement down the road, like, I don't know, in like a direct or something. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Would you be excited for Overwatch on the Switch if it showed up in a direct? I know a lot of people play it on PC at this point, and PS4 and Xbox One, but I guess you just want to complete the set and throw it on the Switch. That'd be interesting if it popped up in the direct. But let's not talk about what ifs. Let's talk about what is, at least right now. And that's Diablo 3. It got unveiled yesterday. We talked about it in a rumor wave the day before, I guess. It was pretty clear that Forbes had broken embargo, told us a bit about it with some Zelda-themed gear, and it looks like Ganondorf is just like outright in the game, which is really cool. That's pretty neat to see. But yeah, Diablo 3 on the Nintendo Switch, first time since StarCraft that I remember, Blizzard and Nintendo working together on a home console game. and it's Diablo III Eternal Edition on the Nintendo Switch. We heard about resolution and frame rate, which the resolution might be a little weird to some people. It's 720p in handheld mode, so they did get that native resolution out of it, which is great. And then in docked mode, it's 960p. Now, I don't really know why it's 960p. Maybe the assets just happen to scale well to that resolution. They were like, well, we're not going to get 1080 out of it because we want to get 60 frames. And yeah, according to them, across the board, it's going to be 60 frames per second, which I think is preferable than going to 1080p. Yeah, all right, 960p upscaled 1080. Sure, why not? If we're getting 60 frames, I think most people will accept the missing 120p's, I guess. So yes, 720p handheld, 960p docked, and it's supposed to run smooth at 60, but I'm sure we'll see what Digital Foundry has to say about that. But I have some confidence here because, according to them, they are using Iron Galaxy. Iron Galaxy is helping them port this game over to the Switch, and if you remember Iron Galaxy, they did a great job with Skyrim. So if you bought Skyrim or you played Skyrim on the Switch and you said, hey, this looks pretty good, it runs fine, it's great. Well, they're the ones helping them do Diablo 3 on the Switch, so you can have some confidence there. And based on some of the stuff they showed in the trailer, yeah, it looks like it's running well. I know trailers can be generally run on other pieces of hardware, whether it's a PC or whatnot, but I have faith in Iron Galaxy. I think they've done some good stuff. Like I said, I played Skyrim and it looked fine on the Switch. It ran fine. So Iron Galaxy is one of the better porting studios, I think, for the Switch. Panic Button is good as well, but so far so good for Iron Galaxy. And if they could knock this one out of the park, that means they'll have two exceptional ports on their hands. They also said that there will be a cloud backup, I guess, or just they're going to back up your saves, your characters and everything. Even if you're playing offline, when you do connect to the internet, it will then automatically sync data and back your characters up and everything. So yeah, there'll be cloud saves there. And they did say it will be using Nintendo's new, we don't know about it yet, but their new online paid service. So you will have to pay to use the online service to then play Diablo 3, much like every other system at this point, minus PC, of course. You can play on PC for free. But yes, they're going to be using the full online service. No cross-play or cross-progression, at least currently. They say things can change for cross-play, maybe even cross-progression. But I think a lot of people know where that barrier is right now with Sony. Although that's not always the case. Sometimes they just can't make it work, whether it's because with Diablo 3, updates happen sometimes differently, and then to sync everything across the board might be more difficult for that. But Sony's kind of earned that thought process that they are probably blocking it. And other than that, there's still no release date. They're still aiming for the fall. I have a feeling Diablo 3's release date could be at Gamescom, or they could drop it in the Direct. Like they could say, Diablo 3 available this time. I keep looking at the calendar. I think they could get out in November. If you remember, Doom and Skyrim both dropped in November last year, pretty close to each other, and it seems like they did well with how Bethesda's on board with the Switch, so that could be another little November release for them, along with Pokemon, and then anything else they might want to release in there. And I think because games like Battlefield, Red Dead, and Call of Duty all skipped November, that's up for really at this point for Nintendo to kind of take over with Pokemon and possibly Diablo 3 and then anything else they want to jam in there, but hey, it's wide open. So it was an interesting day with Diablo 3. Everyone did a great job with covering it, whether it's Eurogamer, Kotaku, Polygon, GameSpot. Everyone kind of came together and they all had different questions and information, and it was just really cool overall to see everyone come together and get all this stuff out there. So great to everybody in the press yesterday. It was a lot of fun to see this game, and I really just to see Nintendo and Blizzard come together, especially if you remember the N64 days and then you realize that Blizzard's been missing for a while. It was kind of cool to see Nintendo, Blizzard kind of right next to each other logo-wise. It was just really neat to see, and we'll just look forward to any other information about Diablo 3, specifically release date at this point. Next up, let's talk about the world of VR. It's a world that a lot of people see as dying, failing. I think a lot of it has to do with there's no massive title that people go, yeah, I'm going to need to grab the VR for that. Even Gran Turismo didn't really cause a stir. Wipeout didn't. Skyrim, Doom. These are all games that you would think would show up. Maybe not as much Wipeout, but definitely the other ones. Just because Wipeout's a bit smaller and the other ones are more big budget, hey, look at me kind of games. But you would think the other ones would, but people still don't seem very sold on VR. I think there's a lot of issues still with just the overall setup, cables, just having to set it up when a lot of people just want to come home and sit down after work or at the long day, just want to play some games. So VR is still viewed as an up-and-coming, I guess, form of entertainment, but PlayStation decided to say, hey, we're still selling them, and they've actually crossed 3 million units sold. And it doesn't sound like a lot, I guess, in the grand scheme of things, since we keep hearing, 82 million PS4s or whatnot. That's pretty good, to be honest, for VR, especially with where HTC Vive and Oculus Rift, they're not near that. In fact, we're to the point now where people are trying to figure out how well they're doing by tracking, like, Amazon sales and stuff. It's like that with PlayStation VR, of course. PlayStation VR is cheaper, right? It is. It works with your PlayStation 4. You don't need a computer or PC or anything, and you can still play a lot of those bigger name games, Gran Turismo, of course, and Skyrim and Doom. So I think VR still has a place. It's going to be a bit. It really is. We've talked about this a lot. They're going to keep selling it, and I think 3 million is enough for PlayStation to turn around and say, okay, the next generation system should have VR hardware built into the system so that we can eliminate as many of those cables as possible. I don't know if they'll be able to eliminate even the camera or any of that stuff, but if they could either make it fully wireless or they could seriously get to a point where there's just one cable and that's it, that would actually make it, I think, an easier pill to swallow, because then they'd probably make just the headset itself cheaper as well. Like get that headset cheaper down to like $150 if you just need that and that's it, and everything else is built into the system, but you still have to think about the system's cost. This is this interesting balancing act when it comes to building a system. So we'll see. I would like to see VR continue because some of the experiences are really cool. Some of them are pretty bad, but a lot of them are pretty cool, so I would like to see them do more. They don't really, like, I don't want to compare it to the Vita because they treat it better than that, but, what was the last real exciting, I guess, VR game? Moss, I guess? But even that didn't really move any units. In fact, here's a list of the top 10 games that actually sell on the PlayStation VR, and you can see at the top is Skyrim because, why not, I guess, and PlayStation VR Worlds, Rec Room, Resident Evil 7, which makes sense, again, Playroom VR, Job Simulator, like, I don't see Moss anywhere on here, right? And it's weird. Even Superhot. How is Superhot number 10? That's probably one of the best VR experiences, and Where's Wipeout? What's going on around here? Then our last bit of news, let's talk about that company that I was referencing earlier that is pretty good at porting JRPGs. Now, they're based in the UK. I believe they've done a lot of work porting games for, like, their region in Europe and everything, but I think based on what they've been doing for Steam and other stuff, they're mostly just looking to really, I guess at this point, just port stuff to the Switch in general. They actually put this on their blog saying, following on from the recent Steam and GOG release of Mary Skelter, we have some more exciting news for you all. All the paperwork has gone through, and I can tell you that we are now official Switch developers, and so are able to bring fantastic Japanese games to Nintendo Switch as well as to PC. In fact, we've already started work on our first port, a JRPG that I'm not able to reveal just yet. So, what are they porting? Well, it's anyone's guess. I put it out on Twitter. Some people were saying, oh, maybe they're doing Tokyo Mirage Session, which, yeah, that would actually work, I guess. I know whenever we talk about it on, like, Spawncast, OJ always says that the gamepad heavily hurt that game. It would have been better if it wasn't for that pesky gamepad on the Wii U. So, yeah, why not? If they could port that over, give it some love on the Switch. We see JRPGs are moving on the Nintendo Switch. Octopath Traveler is just cleaning up at this point. Xenoblade. So, yeah, they seem to work. I would like to see them do some other stuff as well, like maybe go get that Seiken Densetsu collection, because they have serious, I'm talking serious experience, because we're talking back to, like, the PS2. They ported Digital Devil Saga. That's a game I really liked, actually. Digital Devil Saga came in like a double pack. They did Shadow Hearts. They've done some RPGs from back in the day, and here they are now already working on a JRPG port for the Nintendo Switch. So let me know what you guys think they could be doing, but this is exciting. Just more people getting on board to port games to the Switch that could be, I saw some people saying Persona. I don't think you're going to see Persona 5. I think Sega has that series kind of locked up on the PlayStation. They're giving, Shin Megami Tensei to the Switch and everything. So I think I think you're going to see those kind of just stay on either side, essentially. But let me know what you guys think they could be porting. It's exciting stuff. And guys, that's where I'm going to leave Newswave today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys like the video if you liked it, dislike it if not. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether you do feel Overwatch is going to eventually jump to the Switch or maybe something else Blizzard has. Or you want to talk a bit about Diablo 3, maybe PlayStation VR. Maybe you're excited that it's doing well. 3 million units of that's at one point was more expensive than the system. That's not bad. You really got to give them credit for being able to push those VR headsets out the door as something that's still relatively new. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a great weekend. Have some fun, play some games, and I'll see you guys back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time for Newswave.